see the crowd around Ryan right now after his accident last week. Has NASCAR talked to you guys at all about this is what we saw in the car, this is why we think it took off the way it did, and any other?
No, I haven't had that dialogue. It doesn't mean that dialogue's not being had somewhere, but certainly it's something that we'd all agree is not optimal.
I know that Delara has been involved with the next-gen car and that chassis in particular. Do you have any reservations or concerns about the chassis? I know they had issues in IndyCar with their chassis taking off like that in the past, so I don't know if you thought that.
I don't know if I would pin the finger or blame on Delara. Doesn't seem quite fair to me. I think that the challenge here is the teams before the next gen car were spending a lot of time and energy, really it's money, on developing the underside of the car to optimize the aerodynamics and the performance. And the problem with that is that was driving all these costs, and NASCAR's answer for that, the next gen car, was to just go to a fully panned car with one complete underbody, which has vulnerabilities to takeoff. We've seen that in other series. We didn't particularly have that problem, not that we were immune to it, but not at the level we have now with the old car, because the underbody was not completely flat and sealed. I think everyone could agree to that. So it's just kind of this trade-off between, all right, do we want cars that have lower takeoff speeds, which is probably what we have now compared to the previous generation car, or do we want cars that have a lot of room for development and cost for the teams developing the underbody? And the decisions that were made there in the last 3 or 4 years have kind of led us down the path we're on, and there's arguments to be made both ways. I can't particularly say that I'd advocate for either one of the two, but NASCAR in some ways is this living science experiment. Week to week, year to year, everyone look at it, and you guys get to see it real time. And certainly that's the case at Daytona when you saw Ryan's car take off with a frontal, which it was practically unheard of until the next gen car came out. So it's interesting to see it play out. If you're a science geek or nerd like I am, like there's party that, given that everyone was safe when the accident was over, thinks, this is actually really interesting to see how this plays out. But it's just one of the developing kind of storylines of our sport.
Brad, in a time where sponsorship's hard to find,
I'll come back.
Talk about the importance of having Kroger brand and all their supporters on there with you for this season.
Yeah, I think for us, when Kroger came to be a partner at RFK, it was a huge win for us. We kind of have our company at RFK broken into two factors: the competition aspects, which naturally what you do on the racetrack, and then the corporate aspects are how you pay for everything. And in that light, the two are, they're interconnected. When you run well, you make more money, you can pay for more things. And when you raise more sponsorship money, you can, buy more competitive elements, engineering and teams, drivers, et cetera, et cetera. And so, winning on the racetrack helped spur the corporate side. Now the corporate side's helping to spur the competition side. We're able to make key investments in our competition group that we feel are going to pay off here for years to come, and it's really an exciting time, and Kroger is a huge part of that for us.
Can I ask a follow-up on that? How would you kind of describe the state of team sponsorship right now with the new charter agreements? You guys are going to streaming, just kind of all of it, if you will.
Yeah, it's evolving. We're in a really good spot at RFK. We always kind of look at it based on inventory. We have very low inventory, with a few races, but not a lot, which is a good sign for us. It's hard for us to always know where the other teams are at. So I hate to speak for the entire industry.
But for you particularly, have you seen interest too from sponsors about Mexico and everything?
Yeah, I think we have really good interest. Interest is not a problem for us. Connecting all the dots and getting through the layers of corporate America is seemingly the challenge more so than interest.
Is it better than what had been?
There's ebbs and flows. I would say that it's certainly better than when I started as a team owner in the Cup Series 2 or 3 years ago.
Where do you stand on this whole conversation right now between merit, flux, the current state of super speedway racing, and is there a better way?
Well, there's always a better way. just finding it, which not necessarily I know how to find it. Someone was asking me when we first walked up here about this track, and this track almost kind of proves there's a better way. This is a track that runs 2 or 3 wide, puts on a fairly exciting race, but still just exhibits tradecraft, whether it be the teams and the car performance or the drivers and the moves they make with their racecraft. And I think it's kind of a poster child for the idea that both can exist at the same time in the right conditions. And so, the Cup Series is in this interesting spot right now where, I think some days we have to decide if we're the Harlem Globetrotters or not. And, I don't know if I have a perfect answer for that, and maybe there's a balance. But we need for this series to be completely legitimate at all times, and for racecraft, tradecraft to matter. And there's just going to be weeks where it matters more than other weeks, and that's natural. You hope that coincides with your, major events. There's no way around it that tradecraft and racecraft that it takes to run Daytona and Talladega and those places has diminished with some of the rules changes over the last few years. It's unfortunate, but it's a reality. And, I guess I kind of look at it as my responsibility to try to find the next evolution of racecraft to get an advantage. And, it's just, the fruit's higher on the tree for sure. I certainly understand some of the frustrations. I share a lot of frustrations as well with the finish of the race last week. And kind of like, does it feel equitable? Probably not. But not every finish in NASCAR history has felt equitable either. So try not to get too tied up in your spilled milk.
This track's been very strong for us, but I think the high note for us as an organization has been the fact that most racetracks have been very good for us. We haven't really had to depend on one style of racetrack the last two years, I'd call it, which has been a huge step in the right direction for us. So when we look at this season, no, we didn't really circle these as got to make it happen here. On the flip side of that, or maybe to contradict that a little bit, is it is a big goal for us this season to win early. And I think we've had a lot of discussion about the first 8. How do we make the first 8 races better than they've been in the past? It's not as much about the style of racetrack or what track it is, as much it's about just getting the momentum started right for us quicker. Seems to have been our miss the last couple of years, and where we've given up too much ground too early in the season. And that's been the goal for us, is how do we make this stronger to fire off.
Do you like the challenge that this pit road presents, given that it is a narrow lane in itself, but given that if there's a green flag cycle, you have that 90 at the start in the corners, and it goes to 45 once you enter? Do you like that challenge, or is it something that you kind of have to remind yourself when you're racing?
Definitely have to remind yourself of it. It is very different from anything else we do there. I wouldn't say that any of us enjoy the challenge of narrow pit roads once you get onto the front stretch. I think you always get some Indianapolis nightmares, but this one is tight once we get on pit road on the front stretch. But yeah, the curve is kind of fun. It's just another little nuance that the team really studies, and so we don't have practice down here. They did just tell us this morning that they opened up at the end of your qualifying lap. You can make a speed run around turns 3 and 4. So that just happened. So we will run at it and get a little bit of practice in, but our team studies that quite a bit, and we think about it a lot as drivers, try and maximize it.
Did you have contact on pit road in this race last fall? I know it's tight for different people.
No,
Okay.
I had a lot of contact on the track.
Okay, yeah.
But you watch videos back on this place, and there was a lot of people that had contact on pit road. It does get really tight here, and it's it's super speedway now, right, in a lot of ways. So it's like Daytona. We all come down at the same time, very close together. But this pit road is incredibly small compared to Daytona, so it's pretty challenging in that regard.
And the boxes are a lot smaller.
Box is small, pit road's really narrow. Yes, we have an exit through the grass, but raced legends cars around here a lot growing up, and spent probably an unfortunate amount of time in that grass, and I can tell you it's not smooth either. So it's an escape, but you certainly don't want to be there. So yeah, it's just really everything's tighter here for pit road.
Did you see the JGR tablets that they use at Daytona to signal their drivers to go on fuel-only stops, where instead of like a crew member about in front of the car telling you to go, it was a crew member holding a tablet that had a timer, and when it was time to go, it went to an all green screen, and that was your signal to go, as opposed to having the crew chief tell you.
No, I didn't see that. Okay. I didn't even know that. Is that even? I guess it's legal. Huh?
It hasn't been outlawed.
Yeah, it's not been talked about too much, but they just put it through the window net and.
No. It's just outside the windshield.
Hold it up to the left, so you can see it. It turns green. Go.
Oh, okay. Oh, we just have a crew member there, and it's on a hand signal. We don't have a tablet out there. Man, that's brave, taking a $1,000 tablet over the wall for a green light, isn't it?
Well, if it saves 3/10, 4/10, is that?
You still have a lot of human variables in that, right? There's the reaction times, the fuel plug-in times. There's a lot going on, but everyone's too smart for their own good around here.
Talked to Ryan since his flip last week.
Oh yeah. We've been around quite a bit, and he's joking about it all he can, but obviously frustrated.
When you look at the surface and how it's getting lighter, are we reaching a point side as an industry? Is this a super speedway track, or is it an intermediate track in terms of the rules package?
I don't think so. I don't think it really is going to require a change. I think actually it's the best thing you could get out of a super speedway is track wear and make handling more important and make it to where the pack isn't always so bottled up and make it to where it's not easy to be 2-3 wide throughout the entire field. I think that's the best thing we could ask for. If we figure out how to accelerate Daytona wear to be 4 times what it is, I think I would certainly raise my hand and say that's the power play there. So I guess in here, and I don't know if that's a rumor floating around or not, but I sure once it does get worn out, it does get to the point where you can break the pack apart a little bit. It's not gonna just separate. We'll just have gaps, which ultimately having gaps and having lifts that creates movement through the field. That's going to create passing opportunities instead of the gridlock that we found ourselves in at some of these other speedways.
The Vivid EV Anthem is the essence of American spirit. Made with lithium battery technology, this neighborhood electric vehicle features vibrant colors, diamond stitch seats, and seats up to 6. It isn't just made in America, it's made for America.
Kevin Nix with Frontstretch.com. Come back soon for more great racing videos, and if you like us, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.